When somebody's the president of the United States, the authority is total. And that's the way it's got to be.
But it is true that it's up to the governors to make decisions about the executive orders that we've put in place.
We don't have a king, we have a president.
Who's the boss during a pandemic? This is the InsideEdition.com coronavirus news for April 14th, 2020. President Trump and prominent governors are spatting over when lockdown orders are lifted and who gets to say so. Illinois' governor spelled it out in a press conference.
We want to lift these orders as soon as we can. We want to get things back to more normal as soon as we can. But one thing that we have to pay attention to is what direction are these curves going, and what is the advice that we're getting from, again, the scientists and the doctors who know more about immunology and about all the issues of COVID-19 than an elected official who's not a doctor.
New York's governor put it more bluntly.
It's not the law, it's not the Constitution. We don't have a king, we have a president.
The president disagrees.
The authority of the president of the United States having to do with the subject we're talking about is total.
Governors are assembling multi-state councils to make decisions, while the White House is forming its own committee on reopening the economy. It's a battle that will likely continue, despite First Lady Melania Trump's call for goodwill.
We are thinking of you, and we are all in this together.
Elsewhere in Washington, D.C., the National Cathedral broadcast a message of thanks to healthcare workers. U.S. healthcare will soon be getting support in the form of coronavirus tests. In South Korea, workers load test kits into a shipping container. The 600,000 tests are on their way to the U.S. However, healthcare workers in Mexico City held a protest. They're demanding more personal protective gear and say they're not getting the resources they need. Things were more subdued in Sri Lanka. The country celebrated its New Year this week, but the holiday mood under lockdown was far from joyous. According to Johns Hopkins University, the number of reported cases of COVID-19 worldwide is nearly 2 million. And here's more coronavirus coverage from the InsideEdition.com team. Some good news.
Doctors and nurses hope their smiling faces will provide much-needed comfort to COVID patients. This respiratory therapist in San Diego came up with the idea. He put a big laminated photo of himself smiling on the outside of his personal protection gear and shared his photo on Instagram. Now other healthcare workers like this Brooklyn doctor are joining the movement.
I thought it would make them feel better if they just knew there was a real person in there.
Dr. Lena Soni covers up from head to toe while working on a COVID ward.
I couldn't help but feel like they were almost getting scared of me in my suit. And so I just felt like maybe just putting them at ease, like by seeing like a picture of me. The patients really had a wonderful connection to it. I think they deserve to see just normal people around them.
Hi, guys.
Actor John Krasinski is surprising these Boston healthcare heroes. The Red Sox is giving them 4 season tickets for life. They also visited Fenway Park, where they threw out the first pitch of the indefinitely delayed 2020 season.
Now, Stephanie Officer with a story about creative quarantining.
I am working on a story about a guy named John Griffin. John Griffin got so stir-crazy that he thought to himself, I climb the flights of my 3-story home 800 times a day. I must have climbed the equivalent of the height of Mount Everest by the time this whole quarantine thing is over. But then he actually did it, and let me tell you, you'd probably be surprised at what kept him going and what was able to maintain him throughout the whole process.
For more on the coronavirus pandemic, visit InsideEdition.com.